Welcome, travelers, to Adventures in Security. In this, the third in a series of 3 videos on cybersecurity risk analysis, I walk through a simple risk analysis for a fictitious financial organization. Using a hybrid approach, I use elements from various threat modeling and risk analysis frameworks. There are deeper, shallower, and much different approaches to the same analysis. Approaches that should always fit the operational and strategic goals of each organization. If you like this video, if you learned something, please remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any future content. ABC Financials, a large fictitious organization that provides various financial services for its clients, is being used for the walkthrough. Management wants to know the cybersecurity risks associated with mission essential functions, MEFs. The first step for ABC is to select one or more risk analysis and management frameworks on which to base the security team's risk analysis for its MEFs. ABC decided to use a hybrid approach that combines elements from NIST SP 830, a risk management framework, and ISO 27005, Information Security Risk Management, and a mixed quantitative and qualitative approach, ensuring a comprehensive understanding of the technical and business dimensions of risk. The NIST standard facilitates identifying and assessing threats and vulnerabilities, while ISO 27005 guarantees alignment with international standards and best practices in information security. In Step 2, the security team works with management across all departments to define the organization's risk appetite for MEFs in general. However, this can change based on the business function assessed. The team used the tables shown here. Values 1 through 5 are assigned to each cell, values used to rank the risks in a later step. Probability includes the potential for a risk to manifest each year and the organization's weakness due to vulnerabilities along the attack path. Monetary losses might include incident response costs, loss of revenue during response, regulatory sanctions for non-compliance, loss of revenue due to client loss of confidence, and cost of client identity theft for stolen client information. As you can infer from the matrix, risks will not always line up neatly across a single row, with different values for probability, dollars, and labor hours lost. The team identifies mission-essential functions. A financial organization's MEFs are the critical activities that must be maintained to ensure its ability to operate and fulfill its regulatory, legal, and operational responsibilities. Examples of 3 possible MEFs for a financial institution might include core banking and transaction processing, including processing customer deposits, withdrawals and transfers, managing checking and savings accounts, and ATM and digital banking operations. Payment processing and settlement, including executing electronic funds transfers, EFT, processing credit and debit card transactions, handling ACH, automated clearinghouse, and wire transfers and clearing and settlement of interbank payments. And payroll processing and employee compensation, ensuring timely payroll disbursement for employees, processing tax deductions and benefits administration, and managing pension and retirement account contributions. Once ABC's risk management team identifies the MEFs, it next identifies the underlying technology that enables these functions. Each MEF requires its own risk analysis. In this example, I focus on processing customer deposits, withdrawals, and transfers. Shown here is a network diagram that shows the MEF's underlying technology. The example network diagram represents ABC's flat network architecture within a financial institution, showing key network components, security measures, and data flow between various entities. For a more comprehensive look, data flow diagrams are also an important tool. The financial institution connects to the Internet, where a packet filtering firewall is positioned at the perimeter to control incoming and outgoing traffic based on predefined rules. 2 packet filtering firewalls protect the internal network from the DMZ, where the email and customer access application servers are located, providing basic security by blocking or allowing traffic based on IP addresses, ports, and protocols. However, these firewalls do not perform deep packet inspection or detect advanced threats like IPS/IDS systems. The email server, positioned behind the primary firewall, facilitates communication for employees. If not well protected from phishing attacks and malware attachments, it may serve as an attack vector. The account management application server enables remote employees to access banking systems. Given its critical nature, it necessitates robust authentication methods like multi-factor authentication. However, in a flat network, access control is inadequate, elevating vulnerability to risks. The Layer 2 switch acts as the central network hub, connecting all devices, servers, and workstations. Since this is a flat network, all devices operate within the same broadcast domain, making it easier for an attacker to move laterally once inside. Bank officers and tellers use workstations that connect directly to the Layer 2 switch, accessing the account application server to perform financial transactions and manage customer data. The account application server processes banking transactions and customer account operations, and the account database server stores critical financial and customer data and is directly accessible from the application server. The data is classified as critical, as is the infrastructure's categorization. To review how we classify and categorize data and infrastructure, please my relevant videos at the links in the video description. In Step 5, the risk analysis team identifies the following probable threats: ransomware, phishing for account access, denial of service, DOS, employees or contractors with access to sensitive data, data breaches, and natural disasters, for example, fires, floods, tornadoes, and hurricanes. Using the selected hybrid threat modeling approach, the team identifies a set of network vulnerabilities in Step 6, including the absence of IPS/IDS means there is no real-time detection or prevention of cyber attacks. The flat network structure lacks segmentation between critical systems, allowing attackers unrestricted movement once inside. Packet filtering firewalls provide minimal security, as they cannot analyze traffic beyond basic rules. Authentication does not require more than one authentication factor. Strong passwords. The database is unencrypted. Financial data moving across the network is unencrypted. The team ensures that the vulnerabilities used by each threat's known attack vectors are addressed. I focus on the first two threats, ransomware and phishing, because they have a common attack vector as shown in this diagram. Generally, protection against one also protects the other. Let's walk through the attack steps so we can then identify related vulnerabilities. First, the threat actor sends a spear phishing email to the bank officer. Second, the email travels through the first firewall and then to the email server. Next, the bank officer opens the email and clicks on an included attachment. Fourth, the attachment contains a drop file used to download the rest of the malware package. In the fifth step, the drop file calls home to let the threat actor know it is in place and downloads the full malware package. Next, the malware contacts the threat actor server to report success, followed by the threat actor communicating with the infected machine with command and control C2 traffic. And finally, the threat actor attempts to steal data or encrypt MEF supporting data and applications. The team discovers the following vulnerabilities along the attack path. In Attack Step 2, no email filtering to detect and block potentially malicious messages. Attack Step 3, lack of user training and awareness activities to keep employees informed of phishing risks. Attack Step 4, users are allowed to install any software they wish. The end-user device permissions grant the user local admin privileges. In Attack Step 5, no IPS/IDS to detect C2 traffic, especially unexpected egress traffic to external servers. Host-based firewall improperly configured to block unexpected traffic. And attack step 7. Lack of network segmentation. Any device on the network can see and attempt contact with every other device. The team is likely to find other vulnerabilities, such as backup frequency and weak authentication, but those listed above are enough for our walkthrough. In step 7, the team analyzes and prioritizes the risk. Given the vulnerabilities discovered, the first task is determining the potential negative impact associated with each threat and the set of vulnerabilities along its attack path. The team uses a hybrid approach that relies primarily on qualitative analysis, supported with estimated costs identified by process and data owners. The risk appetite alignment tool shown rates the overall risk associated with the set of vulnerabilities along the attack path using ABC's risk appetite table. Although ransomware and general phishing attacks commonly use the same attack path, we will set the risk based on the highest impact. Ransomware. This rating of 14 helps us prioritize risks to ensure ABC manages the most critical risks first. After understanding the risk and the associated vulnerabilities, the team must determine how best to manage them, an activity that also compares best practices with the organization's current security posture. Not all vulnerabilities are the same. By ranking the mitigation of each vulnerability, the team can make recommendations about how to protect the organization most effectively. The tool shown helps us rank the vulnerabilities and serves as a tool when recommending risk mitigation. The ranking value is calculated by multiplying the costs and effort together and then dividing by 100 million to arrive at a usable ranking value. The lower the number, the less overall cost and effort are needed to mitigate the vulnerability. The 100 million divisor is to ensure the ranking numbers fall between 1 and 10, a value that can change based on the magnitude of the costs. The rankings show that 2 of the vulnerabilities are low-hanging fruit, things ABC can do to lower risk without much effort or cost, that include removing local admin privileges and blocking unapproved software installs. Since this risk is considered very high, the cost could be included in the cost of doing business safely, costs that should fit within the current annual budget. ABC might have to implement the higher-ranked vulnerabilities into future budget cycles, as needed, depending on the level of residual risk after the safeguards are implemented. When considering vulnerability mitigation, it is crucial to determine each vulnerability's overall impact on multiple threats. Pointing this out to decision-makers will illustrate that costs can be spread over multiple risks, not just phishing and ransomware. Finally, when determining which safeguards to implement and when, ABC should consider the proposed safeguard's annual total cost of ownership and the expected annual cost of a manifested risk. As a general rule, the annual cost of the safeguards should fall below the cost of the manifested risk. Also keep in mind that the annual probable cost of a threat will fall as ABC implements safeguards. For example, removing end-user local administrator privileges and denying any business user the rights to install software not on an allowed application list might reduce the probability to medium, with the lower cost and labor loss associated with that level. Step 9. Document and report analysis findings and recommendations. The analysis report must include information for both decision-makers and the technical teams. Information clearly differentiated so that decision-makers are not buried in technical details. A report typically includes an executive summary, scope of assessment, threat identification, vulnerability analysis, compliance evaluation, impact assessment, including risk matrices and heat maps, and risk management recommendations. The executive summary offers a concise overview of the complete risk analysis report, emphasizing the most significant findings, including the highest risks and their possible impacts, outlining the recommended actions to address these risks, and targeting senior management, who may lack the time to review the full report but require an understanding of the key points. The scope of assessment clearly defines the boundaries of the risk assessment, listing the systems, processes, and assets that were evaluated. It also specifies any limitations or exclusions, ensuring that management understands the extent and focus of the assessment. Threat identification creates a detailed list of all probable threats within scope, including external, internal, and environmental threats. External threats such as hackers, malware, phishing attacks, and advanced persistent threats originate from outside the organization. Internal threats come from within the organization, including insider threats, accidental data breaches by employees, and internal fraud. Environmental threats are threats related to natural disasters or physical damage to infrastructure, such as earthquakes, floods, fires, and power outages. The vulnerability analysis delves into the specific weaknesses that threat actors could exploit associated with the probable threats, including technical vulnerabilities in systems and applications and process weaknesses. Each vulnerability is described in detail, along with its potential exploit scenarios, which helps in understanding the root causes of identified risks. The compliance evaluation reviews the organization's security practices concerning regulatory requirements and industry standards, identifying any gaps and offering recommendations for achieving compliance. This is crucial for organizations that must adhere to regulations such as GDPR, HIPAA, or industry standards like ISO 27001 and the NIST Cybersecurity framework. The Impact Assessment section evaluates the potential impact of each identified threat if it successfully exploits all related vulnerabilities needed to achieve attack objectives. It considers different aspects, such as financial loss, operational disruption, legal consequences, and reputational damage, supported by relevant data and scenarios, which helps management understand the potential consequences of not addressing the risks. The impact assessments also include visual representations of the identified risks, such as risk matrices, that provide clear and intuitive ways to prioritize mitigation efforts. Risks with the highest severity and likelihood are ranked and highlighted, helping management focus on the most critical areas. Recommendations provide specific and actionable recommendations to address the identified risks. Each recommendation is summarized for management but detailed, including the steps required for implementation, in the appendices for technical teams. The strategies can range from technical measures like updating firewalls and applying patches to organizational policies like employee training and awareness programs. The appendices include additional information to support the findings and recommendations in the report. It can contain detailed risk assessments, technical data, references, and any other relevant documentation. The appendices provide a deeper level of detail for those who want to explore specific aspects of the assessment when choosing and implementing the mitigations. That's it for this video. Again, if you liked what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. And until next time, be careful what you click.